This was me 2 years ago. Now you're probably wondering, why is he showing me this noodle with a six-pack? Or some of you might actually be thinking, I'm actually in decent shape. And if you are, you're fooling yourself because I look small. This is me now, a more decent sized noodle with a six-pack. Now it's true that I've made some gains, but it didn't come without its fair share of mistakes. And there are 5 detrimental mistakes that I see people making that's keeping them from gaining weight. My name is Caleb, and today we're going to dive into these 5 mistakes that you're probably making if you're not gaining any weight. And I'll also throw in some bonus tips for gaining weight near the end of the video. So stick around. Now I know hearing that most of you are probably thinking, but I'm eating over calories. And you probably said what seemed to you like a big number, but it doesn't matter because, and I explained this in my weight loss video about a caloric deficit and a caloric surplus. The fact is, if your body's not gaining weight with the amount of food that you're eating, that means you're not in a caloric surplus, therefore you're not eating enough food. So even if, and a strong if, you're eating 5,000 calories, if your body wasn't gaining weight, you'd have to eat more. Now it's very unlikely that you're eating 5,000 calories, but even if you did, you probably wouldn't know because most people do not track their calories. Most people think just because they're trying to gain weight, they can just eat as much as they want without tracking their calories. And they tend to overestimate how much calories they're eating because they feel like they're eating a lot. But if you actually take time to track your calories, I could almost guarantee that you might find that you're eating much less than you think you are. And while we're talking about not eating enough, most people aren't eating enough protein. We know to gain healthy weight is to build muscle, and protein is essential in building muscle. The optimal amount of protein needed to build muscle effectively was 1.2 to 1.7 grams of protein per kg of your body weight. So increasing your protein intake along with your calories while tracking these numbers would be extremely beneficial in helping you gain weight. This was the mistake that held me back. I used to play basketball on a Monday, have basketball training on Tuesday, have a basketball game on Wednesday, then squeeze in the gym on Thursdays and Fridays, and then wonder why am I not making any gains? And suddenly, I realized sadly I wasn't going to the league, so I cut back on playing basketball, and it was like magic. I started making gains. So while it may not be basketball, some of you are actually living very active lifestyles, be it the job that you do, the distance that you're walking to certain places, or any other activity that you may do, and not realize that this is all precious calories being burnt. So pay attention to the activities that you do and try to cut back on a few, because if you're struggling to gain weight, every calorie counts. How are you training? This is a common mistake I see because people know that they need to pack on muscle to help them gain weight, so they rush to the gym, but they're actually training in the wrong way. First, are you training in the most effective way to build muscle, or are you doing cardio masquerading as weight training? Here's what I mean. Some people, especially with core exercises, do a long 30 rep, high endurance, high calorie burning circuit, or they just add weight to HIIT training and think they're going to make some gains. Now, while this can build muscle, it's also a really good way to burn calories. The opposite of what we're trying to do. The most effective way to build muscle is by training in a hypertrophic rep range, which is 8 to 12 reps for a few sets per muscle group, a few times per week. And also, while you're training, progressively overloading, which is steadily progressing the way that you live week by week to put more stress on the muscles so that they can adapt and grow bigger and stronger. And lastly, some of you are actually doing cardio in the gym, which is criminal. Because if you're someone trying to gain weight, or if you're someone that's been trying and struggling to gain weight, the last place I want to see you is on a treadmill or in a spin class. Now, this doesn't mean you should cut all cardio, but it definitely shouldn't be your main focus if you're trying to gain weight. Because as mentioned before, we're trying to preserve as much calories as possible so that our body can use these calories to pack on some size. Some enthusiastic people figure out exactly what they need to do, see some gains, and decide they're going to push a bit further to maximize their gains. So instead of going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, they're upping it to 5 to 6 times per week. But this can have the opposite effect. Your muscles need enough time to rest and recover so that they can utilize all the extra calories and protein that you're now eating in order to grow bigger. So if you're constantly working them out and not allowing recovery, this can limit muscle growth and lead to injury, which might help you gain weight, but not the good kind. The biggest mistake I see people making is not having enough patience. You guys heard what I said at the beginning. It took me 2 years to finally pack on some muscle by going through the process and figuring out exactly what works for me. and I still haven't reached my goal physique. Though the goal is to gain weight, I learned we shouldn't fixate on weight too much and enjoy the process by getting better at different movements, getting stronger, and learning to set yourself a goal and sticking to it. Eventually, while you may not think you've made gains, you might start to get comments from your family, friends, or even strangers telling you that they see a difference. Your clothes might start to fit a bit tighter. You might even look back at older pictures and see the difference yourself. And I think this is how you should really measure your progress instead of just fixating on numbers on a scale. Your body's been operating a certain way for a long period of time, so it's going to take a bit of effort and time to change that. So now that we've gotten to near the end of the video, here's some quick tips that should help you gain some weight. Quick tip number 1, add ghost calories to your food. Now, I don't eat much dairy products, but that's not because I don't love them. They just don't love me. But cheese literally tastes good with almost anything. So sprinkle some cheese on your food whenever you're eating for extra calories and some extra protein. Olive oil is another healthy alternative that you can pour all over your food that doesn't affect the taste too much, but can add a lot of extra calories. Quick tip number 2, liquefy some of your calories. Protein smoothies with things like peanut butter, oats, and other things can add up to a huge amount of calories with the right mix. But don't drink these before you eat because they can fill you up before meals. Quick tip number 3, don't dirty bulk. While this is a very easy way to get calories because processed foods like pizza has loads of calories, the side effects, at least to me, aren't worth the benefits. The fatigue, the lack of focus, and not to mention the risk of health issues. So try your best to eat real, proper foods. Quick tip number 4, while you may be trying to gain weight, you may know someone on the other side trying to lose weight. So be a good friend and send them this video where I explain exactly how they can lose weight. If you enjoyed the video, found it helpful, leave a thumbs up, drop a comment telling me what mistakes you've made or what has helped you gain weight, and subscribe if you want to see more informative videos like this one. And until next time, in a bit.